Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Academy. In this video, we're going to be talking about Bootstrap 5 forms. Let's proceed. So we have tagged forms, all textual input and text area elements with class dot form control gets proper form styling. We have this example, email and password and remember me. So this is an example. Let's create something around that. Let's go. So come here, we'll come to our div, and the first thing first, we'll have our form. Then inside our form, we're going to have form action. Then inside this form, we would have a div. And inside the div, would have class. Would have class empty 3 and MB, that's margin bottom, which is 3. Then inside this div, we're going to have a label. And inside the label, it will be label for email. It will also have class, which we'll call it form label. And we'll come here, we'll say email. Then after this label, we are also going to have input. We'll say input. Then inside this input, the type will be email. We would also give it a class, which will be form. Okay, form control. We'll have ID, which will be email. Would have placeholder, which would be enter email, and would have a name, name, which would be email. Okay, we'll have it, email. Then after, okay, mail. Then after that, we'll come out from this div. Then we'll have another div again. And inside this div, we'll give it margin, we'll give it class margin bottom, which will be 3. Then inside this div, we'll have a label. Inside this label, it will be for PWD, which is password. We'll give it class, which will be form control. And we'll give it ID, which will be PWD, as in password. We'll give it placeholder. Placeholder, which will be enter password. And as well, we'll give it name, which will be PWD. And inside this label, what are we going to give it? We'll say input. And inside this input, the type will be password. We'll give it class. Yes, then we'll give it class, which will be form control. Then we'll give it control. Then we'll give it placeholder. Out of this, we'll give it placeholder, which will be enter password. Enter password. And then we'll give it name. We'll give it name, which will be PWD. So I made a mistake here, which I add the wrong thing here. So we don't need it to give it class form label and it's a password here. Yes. So that is that for that. Alt Shift F. Okay, good. So after this div, we'll also give it another div. And inside this div, we're also going to give it another div. And inside this div, we'll give it class form, which will be check. And we'll give it MB, which is 3. Then inside this div, we'll say label. Then inside label, what do we want? We'll give it class, which the class will be form check, and we'll give it form check label. And inside this label, we'll do input, and our input type will be checkbox, and we'll say form class, where class will be form check input. And we'll put, and as well, we'll put name, which will be remember me. And in this input, we're going to put remember me. Then after that, we're going to have this button type, which will be submit. But class BTN Premier, we can say submit. So now let's check it out. So can you see this is our form, just a simple form. So let's move to the next part, which says form label and checkbox styling. Also note that we add a form label class to each label element to ensure correct padding. Checkboxes have different markup. They are wrapped around the container element with a form check, and labels have a class of form check label, which checkbox and radio button use like form check input. So let's move to the next part. We have text area. So this is an example for text area. So let's work around that. So we can just remove all of this one just for us to work on our text area. Then we have our div. Then the first thing first we are going to do is we are going to say H2, and we can say text area. Then we can as well give a p tag, and we can say use the dot form control to style text area as well. Then after this p tag, we cannot have our form. Then we'll have our form, and inside this form, we don't need any action. Then the next thing we are going to do is to have our div inside this form, and this div will be taking a class. Okay, and this div will be taking a class of MB, which is -3, and MT, which is margin top and margin bottom, which is -3. Then after that, we're going to give it a label, and inside this label, we'll say for, which is for comments, and inside here we'll say comment. Then after that, we're going to come here and we'll say text area, and inside text area, we're giving it its class, which is form control. Then we'll give it row, which is equals to 5. We just want 5. We'll give it rows to be 5. Then want ID, which will be comments, and we want name, which will be text. Then inside it, we already have our text area. Now, after this form, we're going to give it a button. After this div, we're going to give it a button. And inside this button, we'll call it type, which will be submit, and we can give it BTN, class, which will be BTN, then we'll say BTN primary. And in this space, we'll have our submit. Now let's check it out. This is text area. So this is how to make use of text area. And let's move to the next part, which says form row/grid, that is inline form. If you want your form element to appear side by side, use roll and co. So inside our form, instead of us giving it this, we'll make use of roll and co. Let's go. So instead of us using div, we're going to take it off. And after that, we're going to give it another div. Okay, inside the form, we'll give it div. We'll give it a class name, which will be row. And inside that, we'll also give it another div. Inside this div, it will be class col as well. Then inside this class col, we'll give it input. Then inside input, it will be type text. And as well, we'll give the class to be form control. And we'll give it placeholder, which will be enter email. And as well, we'll give it a name, which will be email. Then that's all for this div. So we'll come here again. We'll create another div. And inside this div, we'll call it class col again. Then it will be input type text, class, which will be form control. Then we'll have enter password. Then after that, we should have a submit button here. Now let's check it out. So this is another different way if you want to have your text area. So they say you should use the form control to start the text area if you want it in inline form. So can you see the way they fall beside each other? So that's that about that.